Yeah, there's two choices here, and the choices are we're going to survive this evolutionary thing or we're not going to survive it. So we should continue doing what we're doing. We already know, science already said, it's already on the calendar, man. You're going out. And the question is, can we mobilize and make the change? And I really think we can, because it's especially the younger generation and the older generation, the ones in the middle I'm a little concerned about, but there are a lot of old hippies out there that really are in total alignment with the Occupy Wall Street movement. That's who they are. They were there back then when it all happened. And so I think there's this great opportunity for this evolution. It's going to be fabulous, but you have to recognize, like anything, when a child's born, there's blood. There's a pain and blood when it happens. And birthing this new civilization, we're going to go through this little bit of this chaos here, which is going to be painful for a lot of people. But it's like we got to see past where we are and look to where we're going to go.
Isn't it amazing that no one would have ever guessed 20 years ago that we'd be talking about this? That we'd be talking about society eroding to the point where it really becomes irrelevant, or not irrelevant, but just it's not respected.
No.
You know, it's the setup is, we've accepted it because it just is what it is. No one is happy with it. Everybody recognizes it's full of flaws, but it's almost like there's this attitude that, like, this is as good as we can do as humans.
Oh,
you know,
yeah.
I mean, today this complicated society with the stock market and the exchange rates and, so, you know, Saudi Arabian oil. This is as good as we can get. But it's not, obviously.
Absolutely
it's
not.
It's not, because it's not perfect.
No,
it's
it's
not
a status
evolving.
quo to keep those people that have the
Right.
haves to keep what they have.
Yes.
And to keep all the other people in that place. But
Instead
it's
of
not
evolving, it's in fact devolving.
Absolutely,
Like
but that's what's going to cause it come to a crisis point where something's going to happen right
Well, people
here.
have to realize that the people that are in power are not looking out for their interests
Oh,
in any way
absolutely.
whatsoever.
Isn't it obvious?
It's obvious. This new thing that was passed in the Senate about the United States being a battlefield.
Oh, man.
Did you see this? That
Yeah.
they're allowed to mobilize troops now on American soil?
Wait,
and apparently Obama said he's going to veto it, but what the fuck ever, man. The fact that he got that far in the first place, that's horrific.
It's just this manipulation by a very small number of people. Like, listen, we're going to extend unemployment, but you have to sign for the pipeline.
At what point in time does that become criminal for, like, the Senate? At what point in time do we not say, hey, you fucking crooks, get out of here?
Well, I'm waiting. I'm totally waiting for this, and it's really upsetting, and that's why I actually started looking. I even looked for a place in New Zealand now.
It's going to be so hard to get rid of lobbyists. It's going to be so hard. That kind of shit, it's going to be so hard to get all that stuff out.
But look, the internet, as I said, could overnight change the entire political spectrum overnight. They never counted on that. And if you do something
if
viral,
voting is real.
If voting is real, but then the idea is you really start to swamp the market. It's very hard to say that, that's what these
Right.
other countries know. It's like, well, obviously this didn't conform to the people who
Isn't
voted.
it funny that we are becoming a fucking banana dictatorship?
We have become everything we fought for other countries and freed other countries. We've imposed with a Patriot Act. We have taken away personal liberty, and this whole country is, to my opinion, with that Patriot Act in operation, is as bankrupt as any of the countries like Chile was under their leadership and their dictators, where whatever the government says, they can create whatever the hell they want. Take you, Joe, off the street and not tell anybody for 90 days that you're even gone.
Isn't that incredible? Like, in America, that's incredible. Like, whoever signed that, you are traitors.
Absolutely.
You guys are traitors, just straight traitors. They should be fucking ashamed of themselves. To call yourself a representative of the people and to pass something like that, what do you think? What if everything at the top is completely fucked up and the right thing to do is to march in the street and to block traffic and to stop this fucking tyrannical situation? If that is the case,
then we're there.
Then
going.
Anybody who opposes that is treasonous.
Yeah, look, they already have the internment camps to hold several million people, and because this was not a new thing. As a matter of fact, there was a guy at Stanford University at this think tank called the Hoover Think Tank. In 1980, the government asked him to write a report on a scenario if there's a big financial collapse. In 1980, they asked him to write this. He said, well, these were game players. How would you play this thing out? And the thing was, it was real interesting. He said, in this process of what they were talking about in the future, the guy who wrote it up said one of the things that was interesting. He said people in this future period are going to become more conscious, and this is going to change the relationship of what's going on. But he also came to the conclusion. He said, inevitably, we're still going to come to a chaos period where there's going to have to be control maintained. And I remember he put in parentheses and he said, and I hope not for long. But what he was saying is, if it comes to a crunch issue like this, for the government to maintain control, they'll have to put a lot of people away in internment camps to keep it from burning up. And I mean, look, it's not very far now. I mean, the essentially stormtroopers in Oakland and all these other cities coming in there with. I mean, it's like it's out of some other country's history book, and we're looking at it live.
Yeah, it really is. It's terrifying. It's weird how quickly it happened too. You know, you remember right after 9/11 when everybody was like, "Oh, rah rah." I remember it was just a week or so after the tragedy. I was driving down the street and every other car had an American flag.
Yeah.
You know, it's amazing. Everybody was all.
We blew it.
Yeah.
We blew it because there was an evolutionary moment. It was right on the edge because all around the world, all the countries at once started to say, "Let's unite together and stamp out this stuff." And then it was, Cowboy George said, "No, I'll do it myself," and
sort of. I think Dick Cheney said, "Let's just go in there and
Dick
get some money, bitch." Dick Cheney just went in there and stole everything.
Yeah, there's Darth Vader, real life, man. So.
Yeah, his fucking heart doesn't even have a pulse. You know that?
No.
He doesn't have a pulse. He's got some crazy pacemaker in him to keep him alive. Like, what doctor thinks it's a good idea to keep that dude alive? You know?
Oh, my God. Hollywood animatronics.
Yeah, Jesus Christ. What, do you want him to be around to influence shit more and make more crazy decisions?
Yeah.
He's had a long time. He's done good. The fact that he managed to get this far and still live, considering how many people he's probably responsible for their deaths. You know?
That whole secret government stuff with Halliburton.
God damn.
Yeah.
Remember when he was always in the bunker, too? He would always hide in the bunker. That was like the craziest shit ever. George Bush would be out playing golf.
He's like
Dick
Dr.
Cheney would be a
Strangelove.
mile underground. Because they didn't want Dick Cheney to die. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's the guy pulling the marionette strings.
But isn't that like the first time ever that we can recall that there was a real, like the vice president really was sort of in control of the whole thing? I mean, I don't remember that happening during the Carter administration or Reagan administration or.
Well, Reagan himself wasn't in charge of anything. He was. People don't remember. He was an ad spokesman on television, early days of television for things like General Electric and big corporations.
Yeah.
He was that guy that distinguished look, and they just bought him from the television set and put him in front of the world and gave him the lines to read. He was an actor. He knew all the lines.
It's amazing, though, how many people respected him. It's like people that argue that Hulk Hogan really did fight all those guys. Like, there's people, have you ever seen those dudes on the internet? Like, there's a very famous clip of one guy, and he's in a high school auditorium or something. He's talking to these wrestlers, and he's crying. And he's literally crying. He's like, "I just want to thank y'all for what you do." Have you ever seen that clip, Brian?
The coach talking to the players?
No, he goes, "It's real to me. It's real to me."
No,
find that dude. He's a pro wrestling fan. It's fucking hilarious.
So what should I search for?
It's real to me. It's still real to me.
Butthole.
You got to see this guy. This guy, man, you can learn a lot. But it really is along the same lines. People that they don't want to hear it.
That's most of the population, as far as I can tell. They can see it in front of their faces and don't even say anything.
Well, a lot of people are too busy too. That's another. It's very hard to even concentrate on anything other than watching TV and eating after you work all day. It's fucking hard, man. And if you go to the gym too, oh Jesus, what do you have time for? You take a spinning class, or you do whatever, play some racquetball or something.
Yeah.
After that's over, man, how much time do you have to fix the world? You got to go to bed and do it all over again, stupid. Put down your sign. Go get a job, hippie.
It's over with. Everybody's going to fall asleep. All right.
Did you find him? There he is, Brian. That was it. Play
Okay.
this.
Hold on one sec.
Isn't that a problem?
Yeah.
That people are working all the time and they're tired? It's very difficult to get a fucking movement going with a bunch of people who are tired from work.
All right, here we go.
Listen to this
Yeah,
poor
but then
fucking
guess
guy.
how many people are not working anymore? So
Check out this poor guy.
Yeah. I just want to thank each and every one of y'all for all you've done to your bodies. It's still real to me, damn it. I mean, thank you.
Take it easy, man.
Thank y'all guys. Y'all are awesome. Thank you so much, Mr. Funk, for saying what needed to be said. I don't want to see another one of these.
Isn't that amazing? That's how far the mind can wander. How do we bring that guy back? How do we turn that guy into the coolest guy in the world? Tell me. Mushrooms?
That would help. If
That would
you got to
help.
hold him down, though. I'm thinking.
Got to hold him down.
Yeah,
Force
I don't
feed
think
that
he's ready
fuck.
to a funnel in his mouth.
Yeah,
though.
you gotta like you're trying to make foie gras, like those things they do with ducks. They force feed them to make their livers, which by the way is delicious. You ever had that foie gras stuff?
Oh, no.
It's gonna be illegal in
Duck's
California
gross.
at the end of this month. People have decided they're gonna outlaw this foie gras. We've got to. This is wrong what they're doing to these ducks that they're eventually gonna fucking kill and eat anyway. But meanwhile, cigarettes are legal. Look at this wacky fucking douchebag government we have.
Joe, did you see the architect that just released
Fuck
a
ducks, dude. For real. Teen people, okay?
Did you see that architect that just released the new building drawings that they're going to make
yeah.
a building that looks just like 9/11?
Oh, it's horrific.
Here's a picture of it on the screen right behind you, Joe.
Have you seen this?
It's actually, at first you look at it and you're like, oh, that's just creepy looking, but then the more you look into it, it's actually really cool. Like it looks
It's
like
dope. Well, it's
like,
kind of the clouds, really.
Yeah.
The idea is that it sticks above the clouds because it's so high. But
Yeah.
it also looks like a fucking plane slamming into it.
it's the same thing.
A lot like a fucking plane slamming into it. I mean, like exactly.
Yeah, but
Yeah, what kind of fucking cloud is like that?
like a pixelated cloud.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, though. It's probably a dope building. Let them build it. Who gives a shit? What, are we so sensitive to explosions and buildings? And, is it like Muhammad now? You can't draw the 9/11 towers? We'll go after you, you fuck.
Oh, strange place.
America?
Yeah.
The whole world, right?
Yeah, but we're great leaders.
Well, we're better than the Middle East, man. Check out what the fuck they're doing. Throwing
yeah?
rocks at people when they're dancing and all that bullshit.
Well,
We are less suppressive than them. Isn't that funny? That's like a badge of honor. We fuck you less hard. We're like gentle. We kiss you. We give you a massage.
we haven't gotten started yet, because
Yeah.
that's the one difference. All the other countries, they get in a revolution, they throw rocks and bottles at each other. We've got AK-47s, automatic weapons. So a revolution here is going to have a whole different impact.
And we're also not under a religious fundamentalist rule. It's not the same way.
Not completely,
Not the
but in
same
process.
way. In process, you think? You feel like
Yes.
it's going in that direction?
Oh, the Republicans, that's their whole motto.
Well, that's just because that's the best way to rape in the retards or rope in the retards. That's a good pattern that they can adapt and think that way. But if you believe like Rick Perry is looking out for God's interests, God would want that fucking dope being the president. That guy, never have you seen a guy in a debate that forgot like a primary part of being a fucking politician. What do you stand for, stupid? Do you have your shit memorized? Do you have it written down anywhere? He didn't even have notes in front of him. When he was talking about the 3 branches of government that he was going to get rid of, and he blanked. It's amazing.
Yeah.
And yet the first move he did after that was to put out a thing about being a Christian and about the gays who don't want you to celebrate Christmas.
The whole world's falling apart and all this stuff, and they want to
Well, he's
bring
a
up
perfect
gays
piece of
and stuff.
evidence.
It's like, you guys there's big issues here, and they don't deal with any big issues.
Well, they're mining for low-hanging fruit, and that's the best way to mine
That's
for
an
low-hanging
unfortunate
fruit.
situation. When I remember back at some advertisements like, "Oh, George Bush would be the kind of president you like to go have a beer with at the bar," and I'm thinking, not really. Who's that? Well,
I would have a beer with him just
Yeah.
to see how fucking guilty he feels.
Oh,
Just to see what it's like. I would definitely have a beer with that guy.
Yeah.
I think he's a spokesperson, and the thing that I always point to is the time when that dude was throwing shoes at him.
yeah.
Remember that? He ducked,
ducked,
and
he
he's like
ducked good.
smiling.
Yeah.
He had this look on his face that to me was like, this is the first fun this fucking guy has had in years. In years. Finally, he's having a good time. Go throw your shoe, man. Hey, man, I just fucking work here. I ain't responsible for how much this Big Mac is. It's basically like he was behind the counter at McDonald's and someone threw their shoes at him.
He
That's
probably
what it
hated
seemed
that
like to
day,
me.
though. He probably hated that day. He probably had the worst night.
No, I don't think
No,
that at all. I think he's happy
No?
for a moment. He's
Yeah.
like Secret Service are following him every day with bulletproof vests and fucking guns and tanks and cars you can't blow up. He's having a good time when someone's throwing shoes at him, man.
A sports moment for him.
Yeah, it was like something was actually happening in his life that they didn't plan out in advance and pull off to a T, while the whole world thought they were, battling good guys, starting fucking wars over weapons that don't even exist. And even though it's been proven those weapons don't exist, we're just going to stay for another 7 or 8 years. Look, we got rid of a bad guy. And this whole thing that's going on in Afghanistan. It's amazing that anybody supports it.
Who is?
A lot of people, man. A lot of politicians support it. Obviously, that's why we're
Oh
there.
yeah, well, I'm telling you, well,
of,
that's the best government money can buy.
But it's amazing that anybody could. I mean, if you needed the best example ever of how the government and the military are not looking out for your best interest, Afghanistan is it. To think that we didn't learn, not only do we not learn anything from Vietnam, we learned less. This is a dumber war. This is way dumber, right? It's way